all good. All good. Nice, peaceful evening, early evening walk. It's, nice and peaceful early evening walk. And yeah, all good. You really got that sort of spring feel in the air this evening. Nice and mild, and yeah, been for a nice walk. And I was doing a bit of reflecting on overcoaching in football. And I have to admit, I've been very fortunate over the years, in years gone by, to sort of worked alongside and with some fantastic coaches and managers, and been really privileged to sort of see and work alongside and learn a lot. And I've had roles, more performance-based coach roles that I've had over the years, but I've been very fortunate, I was thinking, to have worked alongside some fantastic coaches for sure. But I've also seen on some occasions the overcoaching in football. I think the overcoaching in football, in my opinion, and I'm not giving advice or making suggestions here, but my perspective is that overcoaching can destroy the creativity and sort of confidence. When sort of you see certain coaches, they overcoach, and I think that you kind of see, whether it's in a game or training, being strict on tactical roles and sort of frequently stopping a session in sort of coaching and not letting the game flow, so to speak, stifling the players. You kind of see some coaches stifle the players, not letting things flow. And I think there's a sort of case in point for letting the players and getting the balance right. I mean, I think for me, the goal, at least one of the goals, is to sort of create an environment where the footballers can adapt and thrive. Not an environment where they feel sort of stifled and constantly micromanaged by a coach, so to speak. Every move or various moves they make is sort of this sort of constant micromanaging of the player during training or a game. I think stifles that creativity. It sort of can impact their sort of confidence. And I would make a sort of case in point where, yeah, it's important to get a balance and sometimes, step in. Absolutely, completely agree with that. But I think it's empowering when you give the players the opportunity, when you step back and give them a chance to sort of go out there and sort of play and make it free flowing, where they can kind of learn and learn from the experience, learn from, and give them the freedom to express themselves, and particularly in training, and make, if you want to call them, mistakes, and sort of learn from that without sort of jumping in and stopping it, or certainly in a game situation, give them sort of freedom and sort of getting the balance between when you sort of go in and give instructions. I think loads of instructions, too many instructions for me from the coach, whether it be in a game or a training situations, overloads the player's mind. It overloads the mind, and I think it can be quite stifling, in my opinion. And I think there's a case of sort of staying silent, stepping back, and letting things kind of unravel, the sort of freedom, and also some guided discovery where you can ask questions. What could you have done better? Even if it's in training, sometimes you'll see sort of shooting practices and you'll see functional plays, and sometimes certain coaches will keep stepping in and not let it flow, and sort of choose that moment, giving the players the chance to sort of flow and guided discovery and step in at the right moment, or giving them an opportunity to reflect on their learning and ask guided discovery questions. What could you have done better next time? You can ask them guided discovery questions in terms of what could you improve next time? How? Open-ended questions are quite useful in my experience, my suggestion. And choosing the appropriate time for feedback, not overloading the mind, and sometimes giving feedback at the appropriate time, where sometimes the feedback will be given in certain situations so that players don't have a chance to sort of reflect on the training or the game, or being clear, not trying to overload, for example, at halftime in a game, too many instructions, or sort of knowing when to give feedback. And from a training perspective, I think the sort of designing the sessions, or certainly components of the sessions in training where it's free flowing, whether it's a 2v2 or a 4v4 or an 8v8, or doing these sort of functional exercises that are free flowing, where you are stepping back, you are giving the players a chance to sort of be creative and express themselves, and lose themselves in that sort of moment, and then using sort of some guided discovery sort of questions. And I think, whether it's in a training session or in a game, I think sort of trying to overcoach certainly can overload the players with too much information, and definitely sort of stifle them and have a big impact on their creativity and and confidence. But that's my take on it. You might see it differently, but I certainly think, whether it be, technical, tactical, explanation of certain things, overdoing it, overloading it, can definitely, in the way I see it, stifle players. But great to see what your thoughts are. As always need to see what everybody else's thoughts is. They're just my thoughts.